Do you love stories of hope when really there should be no room for hope, or of resilience against all odds, and really just a little flavoring of friendship in there? If so, then today's book just might be for you. Today I will be covering Shawshank Redemption by Stephen King. Welcome to Spencer Reads Everything. I'm your host, Spencer Duncan, and today we're diving into a very powerful novella. It's not a very long book, and I would say that it certainly stood the test of time. It is a great read, in my opinion. I'll get that out there right now. And of course, it is going to be coupled well with the fact that there is an amazing movie that has been made from this novella, and I think they are both excellent. I think the movie is, just a prime example of what a good movie should be, but I also think that the book is an excellent example of what a good book should be. The fact that it's written by Stephen King is going to help with that. Now, I'm not a huge fan of horror. Generally speaking, I try to give it a try here or there, but I think a book like this shows off just how incredibly talented Stephen King is just generally when it comes to writing. And this is the type of book that would lead me to want to read more of his books that include his horror books, which I've read a few here and there, and I will probably with time read some more of them, just knowing how good he is at this. Now, just so you know, this is part of a larger series, a larger collection called Different Seasons. And just to give you a very brief synopsis of this book, if you're not familiar with the book or the movie, they're very similar. There's very few changes. Similar to in the movie, the narrator is actually his good friend Red. I say his good friend. That's one of the things that I think both the movie and the book make clear is that they're not really close friends, but there is an immediate connection that plays a big role in that. But the main character is Andy Dufresne. He has a nice French last name, and he is a wealthy banker of some kind, and he is convicted of murder of his wife and her lover, and he is then sent to Shawshank Prison, which is where the name of the book comes from. And he comes in, and the first thing that Red notices about him is just simply his resilience, despite the fact that he himself, he's got a life of prison ahead of him. He doesn't show any real effort at making himself amenable to everyone around him, but he also isn't, a particularly aggressive person, or he's not someone that is trying to rile people up. And so all that is what's going to help to just kind of set the scene that he's a bit of a loner. He does come to Red every so often for a few things, and they do have a little bit of a friendship, but nothing, really big. And then suddenly there's this one day where it all changes dramatically. Well, I shouldn't say dramatically. It all changes because Andy is going to find some way to help out some of the guards, and that is actually going to lead to him suddenly becoming much more useful to the prison. And with time, you see that he is slowly getting more and more influence, and he just, the bottom line is that he just has such great resolve in all that he is doing. And I will leave it there for my explanation of the storyline, because I think everything after that probably gives away a little too much. But I just can't say enough about both the movie and the book. I assumed the book would be good based off how good the movie is, and I assumed it would be good because it was written by Stephen King, and I've long since appreciated his quality of writing, even if I'm not a huge fan of his genre. Since they're so similar, I don't feel any need to really say much more about what's different between the book and the movie. I really can't think of much. All the main characters are there, all the main story plots are the same, but I will double down on just how good the quality of writing is, so that if you have seen the movie and you're thinking, well, I don't need to read the book, I would say no. I still think it's a great read, and I would really encourage anyone that is just looking for a good, well-written book. So who would I say that this is for? Well, for starters, it's a novella, so it's a pretty easy read. And so I think it's perfect for anyone that really enjoys these stories of resilience and, like I said, some hope, despite the absolute lack of it, or at least what should be the absolute lack of it, and really just a demonstration of the human spirit. And so if you're someone that can really, appreciate that character-driven narrative, that again, it's a novella, so it is going to be potent, it's going to be action-packed, and I shouldn't say action-packed, it's going to go at a pretty quick pace. Despite the level of character development, I would say that it still goes very quickly. I think sometimes that's something that you can lose in a novella, is just how much character development that there is, but I would say that is certainly here in this book. And so if you are looking for any of that, this is a book for you. So who wouldn't I say this is for? Well, if you are a fan of Stephen King and you're looking for more of his supernatural or his horror-filled elements, That's not here, and so don't be expecting that. If for some reason you're not remotely familiar with the plot, then just know that you're not going to find that here. But I would say that instead come prepared for more of a, we'll say just for the fun of it, a reflective story that deals with some heavier emotions, or at least the more extreme emotion of hopelessness, and how you can counter hopelessness and build and create space for hope instead. I would say that that would probably be a greater approach to this book if you're trying to figure out what exactly you want out of a book like this. Sometimes my reviews are kind of short because I don't really like the book and I don't have a lot to say. This one's like the other way around. I really enjoyed this book and I just don't know what else to say except read it. I mean, read it. I know I feel kind of foolish knowing that this is a book that's been out for quite a while. The movie's been out for quite a while, and both are incredibly successful. And I would just really recommend to anyone that hasn't read the book, though, give it a try. I think you will enjoy it, especially if you consider yourself a reader. Even if you're not a reader, I think this is, again, a short book, and the quality of it is good enough that this could be something to help you to become a little bit more of a reader. That would be my suggestion. I would add one more little caveat that because it does deal with prison, there are certainly some elements that are not for all ages. There's going to be some PG-13 and some R level stuff. I wouldn't say it's a lot of it, and it tends to be, in my opinion, a little more passing, and he's not too graphic in his descriptions for the most part, but there are definitely a few scenes that you may be cautious about if you are going to pick up this book or watch the movie for that matter. If you have a different novella that you think would be a great exploration of something of Stephen King's, either that is different from the horror or maybe another introduction to his horror elements, please let me know, or anything else that you want to say about either this book or about the genre as a whole, just let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and until next time, keep those pages turning.